She was one of Motown's biggest stars in the late 1960s and early 1970s, and she played a big part in the success of Gladys Knight and the Pips. The Pips were made up of Gladys, her brother Morale Bubba Knight, and her cousins William Guest and Edward Patton, and Herc Patton. Together, they left a musical legacy that can still be heard today. But behind all of her fame and success, Gladys Knight's personal life wasn't always easy. She had her fair share of heartbreaks. She stayed strong and focused on her career despite having several failed marriages. Gladys Maria Knight was born on May 28, 1944, and is a talented singer, songwriter, actress, and businesswoman who has had a lasting effect on music and entertainment. Her career spanned decades, and she received countless awards and honors. Her most famous accomplishment was as the lead singer of the Pips, where she built a career that is remembered around the world. However, her love life was anything but easy. She married her classmate, an Atlanta musician, James "Jimmy" Newman, when she was 16 years old, and found out she was pregnant. He was pregnant. Sadly, she had a miscarriage during this time, but the couple went on to have 2 children together. Unfortunately, their marriage had problems because Jimmy was addicted to drugs and left the family when Gladys was 20 years old. Despite all the problems, they stayed married for over 12 years until 1973 and went through some very hard times together. On August 13, 1962, Knight and James Newman had a son named James "Jimmy" Gaston Newman III. Despite all the problems, Gladys made the brave decision to take a break from her music career for a while. She stopped touring to focus on raising their son, while the Pips continued to perform on their own. In 1963, the couple celebrated the birth of their daughter, Kenya Maria Newman Schumann. With the growing responsibilities of motherhood and the need to support her family, Gladys eventually went back to her music career, recording in the early 1960s. Gladys, James and the Pips moved to Detroit to start a new chapter in their lives in the upscale Sherwood Forest neighborhood on the city's west side. They also lived on La Avenue for a while and sent their kids to a local Catholic grade school to get a good education. Unfortunately, their marriage continued to have problems, and after a 7-year separation, Gladys made the hard decision to divorce James in 1973. A few years later, James passed away. In 1974, after the breakup of her first marriage, Gladys found love again with Barry Hanker, the founder of Blackground Records, a label that would later sign his niece, the famous singer Aaliyah. They had a son named Shanga Ali Hankerson on August 5, 1976, but their marriage had its problems. Around 1977, they moved to Atlanta while the Pips stayed in Detroit, and despite their best efforts, Gladys and Barry's marriage ended in divorce. The divorce of Gladys Knight and Barry Hankerson in 1979 led to a long and emotionally draining custody battle over their son Shanga Ali Henderson. This added even more stress to her already difficult personal life. Then tragedy struck again when Shanga was kidnapped, leaving Gladys devastated. She spent over $1 million in her never-ending search for him, and eventually got married again in 1995, despite the emotional upheaval in her life. This time to motivational speaker Les Brown. Like her other relationships, this one had problems, and they ended up splitting up and getting divorced in 1997. Gladys also battled a gambling addiction for more than a decade. In the late 1980s, she lost $660,000 at a baccarat table, which was a huge loss for her finances. When she realized how bad her addiction was, she made the brave decision to get help and join Gamblers Anonymous. This decision helped her break free from gambling. She grew up with her siblings, including a sister named Brenda and a brother named Merrill Bubba Knight Jr. Sadly, they also lost another brother named David. Gladys Knight's musical journey began in the late 1940s and early 1950s when she discovered her love for singing in her church choir. She started to show off her amazing talent when she was 8 years old. Her voice caught people's attention, and on July 1, 1952, she won the prestigious Ted Mack's Original Amateur Hour TV show contest, a win that hinted at her future as a music legend. The formation of Gladys Knight and the Pips was both random and fateful. It all started at Bubba Knight's 10th birthday party, where a broken record player left the party without music. To save the day, Gladys, Bubba, Brenda, and their cousins Eleanor and William Guest decided to sing together. What started out as a simple idea turned into something amazing. Their impromptu performance was so good that everyone at the party encouraged them to pursue music as a group. Their mother, Elizabeth Knight, quickly became one of their biggest fans, pushing them to take their natural talent to the next level. The original Hunan VJ release peaked at an impressive number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, while the Fury Records version gained a lot of traction, making the song the group's first big hit. At this point, the group made a big change by officially changing their name to Gladys Knight and the Pips. And the Pips. Letter Full of Tears, released in 1961, was another hit that made it into the top 40 and added to the group's growing reputation. Riding this wave of success, they released a string of singles with Fury Records, each adding to their growing fan base and critical acclaim. Their marriage had its ups and downs, and they ended up in a tough custody battle over their son. In her career, 1980 was a big year for Gladys Knight. Johnny Mathis asked her to work with him on 2 duets when a child is born, which she did. Soon after, Glastonbury Knight and the Pips signed with Columbia Records, reuniting as a quartet and beginning a new era to bring their new music to life. They teamed up with legendary former MTV producers Nicholas Ashford and Valerie Simpson. Glastonbury Knight and the Pips started their time on Columbia Records with 2 albums, About Love, 1980, and Touch, 1981. About Love included the hit single Landlord, which fans loved and added to their growing list of chart-topping hits. The group's creative comeback in 1983 was marked by the release of the hit single, Save the Overtime for Me. This soulful boogie-style track, produced by Leon Silvers III, who was known for his work with Shalamar, became a standout hit. It peaked at Thor 66 on the Hot 100 and was number 1 on the R&B chart for a week in mid-1983, making it their first R&B chart topper since 1974. The music video for the song was ahead of its time, combining R&B with early hip-hop influences, making it one of the first to Save the Overtime for Me, which was on the album Visions, showed how versatile the group was, and another R&B hit called You're Number 1 in My Book proved they were still a force in the music world. In 1987, Gladys Knight went solo, which marked the end of an amazing era, with the Pips. You're Number 1 in My Book. Their last album together, All Our Love 1987, which was released by Messier Records, had the infectious lead single Love Overboard, which went to number 1 on the R&B charts and earned the group another Grammy Award. After a successful farewell tour in 1988, Gladys Knight ended her time with the Pips and began her solo journey. The Pips decided to retire as a group, ending an era of unforgettable music and performances. Gladys Knight, who was already a famous figure with the Pips and as a solo artist, started her solo career with new energy and focus. But the legacy of Gladys Knight and the Pips was firmly etched in music history, earning them many honors, including inductions into the Georgia Music Hall of Fame. In 2001, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1996, and the Vocal Group Hall of Fame in 2001. In 1985, while still with the Pips, Knight made a big contribution to AIDS awareness by working with Dionne Warwick, Stevie Wonder, and Elton John on the famous benefit single, That's What Friends Are For. This number 1 hit raised awareness and won a Grammy for Best Pop Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal in 1986. That same year, Knight appeared on the HBO special Sisters in the of Love, with Dionne Warwick and Patti LaBelle. On March 27, 1988, she gave an emotional performance of America the Beautiful at WrestleMania 4 in Atlantic City, showing how versatile she was. The next year, Knight recorded License to Kill, the title track for the James Bond movie, which became a top 10 hit in the UK and Germany, solidifying her international fame. In 1991, she took another big step in her solo career by releasing her third album, Good Woman. The album topped the R&B album chart and had the number 2 song, R&B hit Men, and reached number 45 on the Billboard 200, which was her best solo chart placement. The album also had Superwoman, which was written by Babyface and featured Dionne Warwick and Patti LaBelle, and was nominated for a Grammy that same year. Knight collaborated with LaBelle on I Don't Do Duets for LaBelle's album, Burn, Glad. Knight's incredible journey has been a mix of musical brilliance and life-changing moments on and off the stage. She sang the national anthem at Game 1 of the World Series, wowing fans with her powerful voice. Knight's love for music and dedication to charity were clear in her many collaborations and charitable activities. In 2004, she co-hosted VH1's D-Live to support the Save the Music Foundation. That same year, she recorded a duet with Ray Charles called You Were There for his album Genius and Friends. In 2008, she worked with Chaka Khan, Patti LaBelle, and Diana Ross at the Divas with Heart concert to raise money for the American Heart Association. She also went on American Idol with Jack Black, Robert Downey Jr., and Ben Stiller to raise money for charity. One of her most moving performances was at Michael Jackson's funeral in 2009, where she sang His Eye is on the Sparrow and The Lord's Prayer in honor of the King of Pop, Chew Pop. In 2013, she contributed the song You and I Ain't Nothing No More, written by Lenny Kravitz, to the soundtrack of Lee Daniels' movie The Butler. This showed how versatile she was as an artist. In 2014, she released her album, Where My Heart Belongs. Her 30th top 40 R&B album, including her work with the Pips, came out that same year. That same year, Gladys Knight told women in the entertainment business to value self-respect and not sell sex, staying true to her values of grace and dignity. Gladys Knight's influence reached new heights when VH1 ranked her number 18 on their list of the 100 greatest women in rock in 2019. She sang the national anthem at the Super Bowl, which got mixed reactions because of Colin Kaepernick's protests. Knight acknowledged Kaepernick's cause but said she supported her own. That same year, she also performed at the 100th anniversary of the Delaware State Fair. In 2022, President Joe Biden gave her the prestigious Kennedy Center honors for her outstanding contributions to music and culture. That same year, she was the host of the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit dinner at the White House, proving her lasting legacy on the world stage. The host